Thanks.
If you're talking sports, it's the matchup. Mickey here with Zizzy, yeah, we cutting it up. Just a couple athletic enthusiasts. You know what it is, the Mickey Zizzy podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Season 3, episode 2, brought to you by Pinnacle Supplementation. Of course, make sure you reach your pinnacle. All your wellness and fitness needs, from products, protein powder, amino acids, to vitamins. And of course, your free merchandise with every purchase, as long as you use the discount code Mickey Zizzy. Check it out below. And not to forget, G for 3, as spelled below as well. The man himself, Grant Anderson, the OBL baller. Check out his YouTube channel, premiering quality basketball and commentary from the man himself. Now, I'm here. I'm in a beanie. It's hot in Florida already, regardless. But I got to keep it hot. Got to keep it coming off the dome. Maybe some hot takes, maybe not. You know who I am. I'm Zizzy, with the man, the myth, the legend, with me here to the side. Mickey, what is happening in the Celtics uni? I see it. What's going on?
Oh, yeah, here we are. We're trying out a few new things. We said we're getting bigger and better. We're trying out mics. We're trying out the Zoom. The last video went well, so keep on hitting. Maybe hit that subscribe button. That's kind of weird. We actually get to say here on the pod, but we're definitely getting after it here. We're tied 2-2. The game's about to come on. Last time we had a podcast right before the game, the Celtics went and won it. So I'm using that mojo. Don't worry, I'm rocking the IT jersey today. I will be changing back to the JT jersey for game time. Don't worry about that.
Are you sure that's good vibes? Are you sure that's good vibes, by the way, an IT jersey? Because, he left on a sour note, man. He left on a sour note.
He's a playoff demon. We're all good. He's a playoff demon. Would love to have him back. He's a straight-up baller. That slow grind. I follow him on everything because, he's a 5'7" guy, too, making it in the league, putting up points. So hopefully the Hornets sign him later on in the next year. But we're good. Positive vibes only here, Yank. We're looking pretty good. We'll get into that, just in a little bit after the person of the week.
Absolutely. So speaking of person of the week, is that you trying to lead me into it? You want me to go first this week, or you want to go?
All right, I'll double first. All right. We'll keep going first.
All right.
My person of the week, once again, I'm always breaking the rule here on this part of the segment of the podcast, and it's just for the back-to-back national champs, Oklahoma Sooners. Now, the past 2 years, I've actually watched it a lot because Haley has introduced it to me, and watching softball is way more fun than watching baseball. I'm going to say that from the jump, and we watch it all. I think Oklahoma State was my winner. We predicted winners, but just to go against, since they won the SEC, no, Big 12. Wow, I'm really off right there. But
okay.
Oklahoma Sooners went and they demolished unranked Texas. Good shout out to Texas though for making it unranked. But Yank, the Sooners are the Bama, like Bama in football. Oklahoma Sooners is that in softball. They win so much, people just get so aggravated. They're like, dude, again, Oklahoma wins again. We want to see a new winner. So that's how they're like the Alabama team when we talk about football. And the big shout out, number 78, Jocelyn Allo. I know I probably pronounced that name wrong, but she got to be the GOAT, dude.
The double dingers?
Oh, go all time. 122 home runs, 280 runs, 323 RBIs, 990 slugging percentage. It's unreal what this person can do. And it's just really cool to be introduced to that sport because that's something we don't cover too much. So that's why the Oklahoma Sooners are my person of the week.
Well, we do love to see that. I'm not going to lie. I did watch some of the game, obviously. Definitely caught the highlights of it. I'm a big fan of softball as well. Softball rec leagues, I suggest that to literally anybody because that's like some of the most fun that you can have. I still feel like we have some revenge at some point in our life. We're going to have to show back up to Mount Vernon and avenge ourselves in the Summer Classic, So I'm a big fan of softball. Love it. Love watching it. This college softball World Series is so intense. It's electric. It totally would fit the theme of season 2. Totally electric. But yeah, the Sooners are tough. They've been tough all year though. I think they've been literally ranked 1 all year. They've just been dominant. And they came out and they put a whooping on them. And like we said, I think it was 7 or 8 home runs in that one game to clinch
Something like it was 2 Grand Slams for sure.
Yeah,
So I know that for a fact.
I mean, absolutely balling. So shout out to them. Congratulations. Couldn't imagine how that feels. That's literally amazing. So, well, Mickey always disappoints me by doing groups of people, I guess, even though we both fell victim to it. So does that make me does that make me here? Whatever. We do that all the time probably on this podcast. But my person of the week this week is Shane McClanahan. He is a pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. He used to be someone that I actually played baseball with for a really long time growing up. All the way from when we were probably, I don't know, 7 years old to high school. And then when we got to high school, we were on opposing teams. So he used to just smile at me on the pitcher's mound. He knew what pitches I couldn't hit. Always got me. But it was always a fun battle and always enjoyed it. But to see him be out there for the Rays, which just happens to be my favorite baseball team when I do watch baseball, and doing the stuff that he's doing at 25 years old is crazy. I mean, he's up there tied for first, if not leading the league in strikeouts. He's been honestly trending towards all-star status. It's just been super cool to watch. He's had an amazing record, an amazing ERA. He's been nasty with his lefty tail and everything else on the mound. It's just been super, super cool to watch, and he's always been humble about it. So shout out Sugar Shane McClanahan. Yeah, and it's out there balling. So awesome to watch.
Yeah, shout out Sugar Shane. That's super awesome. Great person of the week. Way to stay true to the rules there. But yeah, shout out him.
Somebody's got to awesome. Come on now. All righty. So we actually are going to have a switch of like a change of gears because I know it's been a lot of basketball and everything else, but there's some other things going on in the sports world. Mickey, why don't you talk about it?
Oh, yeah, 100%. The really cool thing about this is we're going to talk golf. And we don't talk golf too much. We bring it up when the major events come up, the Masters, US Open, and all that kind of jazz. But the new league, it's kind of the new debate right now. I mean, we even had it with all of our friends, the PGA and the LIV debate. Some of these pro golfers are leaving or not being asked to come back to PGA events if they compete in the Saudi Arabian. Sorry, I'm pronouncing that all wrong. Didn't do too well in history, but in the LIV, and it's pretty much, I mean, the grand scheme of things is they're getting paid buttloads of money to be on this other quote tour or to do these other events for the LIV. And now there's a huge controversy about letting these pro golfers come back to PGA since they broke contract or didn't appeal it. And we're going to dive fully into this and try to give the people a little bit more information about it and our takes on it.
Absolutely. And I mean, I love to add a little bit of swagger to it, a little bit of flow. I mean, the LIV league, but that's LIV Golf, baby. They living out there with the money that they making. So I love that.
The money, that's all.
The money. Oh, come on now. It's enticing. There's definitely comparisons, definitely some crazy takes that'll probably come out of it. But yeah, let's go right into it, man. How do you feel about this league? And I mean, we can explain a little bit more about what exactly it is and the differences of it, but I'm going to get into all that.
I don't like it. I do, but I don't. And I know it's kind of a controversial take here, but I agree 100% with the PGA by not letting these pro golfers come back to the PGA. Do not let them run back. Phil Mickelson and Dustin Johnson and Sergio Garcia, they didn't apply. And in the rules, like you can go to other golf tournaments for charity stuff, but you got to apply for it, right? You got to appeal it, say, hey, PGA, here's the sitch. Like, can I go to this other tournament? They didn't even attempt to do that. And now they're trying to come back. Well, that's breaking your contract. Yank, I'm going to reference it to another thing. The USFL is a growing football league. We'll say it's growing a little bit. It's always on ESPN. But think about that. If they're paying buttloads of money, why can't Lamar Jackson go play for the Birmingham Stallions and then come back to the NFL? As you see, he's breaking his contract playing for another team in a different league, and it just don't make no sense. And when you stay true to your brand, PGA, or your team, that's where I agree with the PGA of not letting them, come back. They're breaking their contract. They're breaking everything. So that's going to be my first kind of first punch at the LIV and PGA debate.
And I would understand that. That's probably the logical take that many people would want to say that are defending the PGA's position. My whole thing is that not everybody, actually most, if not at least half of the players that did go and play in that league that were also on the PGA Tour, they did apply. They did ask for that leniency
PGA
for them to
announcement
go to
said no
that
one can
tournament.
apply.
But they also, PGA came back and declined those requests. So, I mean, it's not like they didn't all try to apply. And I mean, some of them did, obviously, some of them didn't. But then there's other players like you bring up a Dustin Johnson who didn't apply necessarily, but he also completely resigned from the PGA Tour. Like he's independent of the PGA Tour. So to him, that's his own personal decision. Not everybody has chosen to do that went and played in this LIV tournament. But at the same time, it is everybody's own decision. And I get the whole like the breach of contract thing. Yes, most professional leagues, it's not like you play in multiple leagues at a time. Not everybody's Deion Sanders or something, or Bo Jackson or something like that. And on top of that, when it's the same two different leagues but the same sport, I don't think anybody's ever really been seen doing that or ever expects, or it's that conflict of interest clause. Like we all understand that. So I agree with you. Yes, it's a breach of contract, but is it also just like them trying to get a leg up on the PGA? Like not like a lot of them tried to go through the PGA to still be cleared to do this, and the PGA has just been non-committal on anything on the front of the LIV league. So
you also don't want your golfers leaving the PGA. PGA is the brand of golf, and leaving your best golfers, leaving to go compete in this other league, in my eyes, is kind of like bogus. Like you're not staying true to the biggest brand. And I also, on the flip side, you're trying to grow the sport of golf. To completely understand, you're trying to grow the sport of golf with the LIV league and these buttloads of money. I mean, dude, they're getting paid. Let me double check here. Like they asked Phil Mickelson $200 million to leave the PGA and be like the poster child, the face of the LIV. Dude, that's tons of money. And I'm going to give you the top 5 place winners of like the difference here of why people want to leave. If you get first place, you get $4 million. All right. The difference here is if you get first place in the PGA, it's 2.7 mil. You're almost getting twice as much money for winning that's winning the Masters, winning one of the biggest events in the PGA. You're almost getting paid half more for your pricing there. You go to 2 mil, and then if you get second place, it's definitely way lower than that. So you look at the difference there, Yank, of just the pay in general. I mean, LIV must stand for money or something, because that's the huge difference here.
Well, I mean, you look, it's financed by the Saudi Arabian backed financing. I mean, they got money over there, man. That is true. I mean, Greg Norman knows what he's doing when he's trying to lead the funding and financing with that. So,
I mean, the average money difference is $500,000, dude. That alone is.
I could eat. I could eat.
I could survive and pay for my grandkids' food. But right there is, I mean, the only reason why these people want to leave the PGA. They see money, they see dollar signs, they see extra zeros. And to me, are they chasing to grow the sport of golf or chasing money? Obviously, they're chasing the money, but still want to play golf and on an easier schedule. I know that's also the debate, but you're also just leaving the biggest brand and backbone of golf, that being PGA.
Well, I mean, PGA is the tradition, and I mean, that's an argument for the PGA, and we'll get to that, I'm sure, here in a second. But I mean, you can't be upset with the players when they're choosing this kind of money. Like when you put it in perspective, and this is where the argument is against it, against the PGA. Like Tiger Woods, for instance, is tied. I think he's tied for the most wins in PGA Tour history.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, for just event wins in general. I believe he's tied at 81 or 82, whatever the record is. And in those winning all those events, he has accumulated $121 million in winnings. To go and play, to show up for this first LIV tournament that just came up, they were offering Dustin Johnson $150 million just to show up, just to be there. So Dustin Johnson, just to show up to the event, regardless if he wins or loses, just made $30 million more than Tiger Woods did in 82 tour wins. That's the difference that we're talking about. That's generational difference that we're talking about. Like just from a standpoint of personal, like wealth and health financially, like that, it makes sense and it's a logical choice. And this is where it's like you just get into the individuality of the person. It's up to them whether or not they're going to go and get that money. And I can't really blame them when you look at a comparison
All that
like
money
that.
has to win you. So he can go out there and play bogey golf. He can go out there, clunk, clunk, bogey, and still gets paid that. So is that really growing the sport? Is that really?
I mean, it's still going to get you exposure. When you talk about growing the sport, is the sport not going to go where the players go? Is the sport anything without the players? No.
100%.
So because I heard that they had offered Tiger Woods like north of $500 million just to be on the tour and I don't know, not even necessarily lead the PGA, but just be on the LIV tour. And yes, he turned that down, but I'm just saying, like, is it real? If Tiger Woods had said yes, you're telling me that the LIV league would not be all of a sudden the most popular golf league in the world? Like, it's going to go where the players go.
100%. So then PGA.
So it's not necessarily not growing the sport. It's not like they're going to go out and just start shanking and like throwing games and tournaments.
But okay, so now the PGA probably won't be anything. If you're going to pay, if you have all this money, why would any other player go to the PGA? The PGA is going to go up in flames, and the LIV is going to be the next big thing because that's where your players are going to go.
That's right? I mean, it could, yeah. I mean, it's honestly, I don't see them both being like equal or big. Like it's got to be one or the other for sure. But you have to, but as the PGA, you should feel threatened because you have to look at what LIV is offering with the money difference, but also the schedule. It's less tournaments to play per year. You don't have to be on the road as much. A lot of them, a lot of these guys are in their 30s, 40s. They have young starting out families. Like people want to be home, man. Like their tournaments are only 54 holes. Like instead of 72, you get only 3 days instead of 4 days on the course. Like, so it's shorter there. It's not as much of a grind on your body. And then, I mean, there's just all these little differences that add up. They've got the team play difference where now you've got, not only do you have the individual sport because everyone's still keeping their individual shot score, but now they've implemented a team aspect of it. Like that's pretty cool, man. Like I know you and I are all about like relays and team aspect, team building events. Like that's always a good time. So they're bringing a lot of cool, different stuff to the game that is, in my opinion, expanding it, growing it. It's just, is it going to get away from the PGA leaderboards and victories and stuff like that? Who cares? Transfer the stats over. People are never going to forget what Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, anybody else did on the PGA Tour. Like, that's not like it's going to ever go away. It's still, like, prevalent in history. But, like, what's so bad? Huh?
What LIV buys out PGA? Hey, PGA, give me all your stats.
Why not? I guarantee it sounds like they got the money to. But that's also the other point when you talk about things that are against the PGA. Like, you're telling me that this other league comes up out of nowhere and can truly afford that much more, like, opportunity and money to give to their players? Like, I know golf is an expensive sport. Like, golf is an expensive sport. Golf is a prestigious sport. It always has been. I know if you go up to, like, a private country club course and you go to get a membership, I've heard memberships that are north of $100,000 for the year. The golf is an expensive sport, and there's a lot of money that goes into it. And I would not be surprised if there's not a lot of money that's left on the table when it comes to negotiations with players and marketing opportunities, franchising, whatever the case may be, branding, that the PGA Tour leaves on the table with these guys. Some of them probably are going to get all of and more at the LIV.
I'm going to break down two of the things you said about that. The first thing being the teams. I mean, they have the teams, low-key, genius idea. If you want to make even more money, you're going to start selling merch. You're going to start, getting behind a team like, oh, snap, like my favorite golfer's on this team. I can watch this. Oh, I just watched this other golfer help us out. I know the high flyers of the team, they got Phil Mickelson. They had a big draft about it. The Aces got Dustin Johnson, and the Fireballs, like Team Fireball, like low key. Okay, I give it to LIV. They got some cool names. They have the Stingers, Smash, the Crushers, the Cliques. That's actually kind of insane. But you just think about the merchandise and the more money they can make off of that as well. Because I know big time golf fans are going to go get that merch. I'm going to go rock a Fireball hat because that's what my favorite Sergio Garcia golfer is going to play with, you know? So, I mean, super smart on that aspect.
Yeah, man.
PGA on the flip side, you could have, I know you have all these other big major events, but you easily could do that as well on their side. I mean, it's kind of like stealing their
But isn't that where their question of like they're stuck on tradition and that's what their big thing is? Like they don't want to change, man.
No, and that's also the other thing. Like, you're not going to change up the Masters. The Masters is so,
yeah.
traditional as
But
well.
that's the thing too. Like none of the majors, all the majors are owned by like their own like other corporations and stuff. So like even these people that are going to LIV, they can still play in all those.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just the big thing is we may be in the mix of a entire new league of golf. Like, we might get to see the changes. Like WWE, they were the WWF, and they got sued by like the Panda Company, Worldwide, whatever, like the federation.
I can't remember it, but
yeah, but they got sued and whatnot, so they had to totally change their league. Took everything with, which was same management, same wrestlers, and there was the WWE, so they couldn't get sued. So, like, that's the only other time I can see one league totally transformed into something different, which it wasn't that much. Now here, change of the face, change of that, change of venues and everything. So I'm just really almost concerned for the PGA. Like, they ain't staying true to their signature. If they leave, I say, yep, you got to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't stay true to it. See ya. But if
I understand. I understand the suspensions. I just don't think it's going to do anything to help them, to help their own cause, because they're going to create. It's just going to create a rift. You can actually kind of see it, like even Roy McIlroy, who won the Canadian RBC Canadian Open this past weekend. Like, he was throwing little subtle jabs at the LIV League and Greg Norman, who's like the leading chancellor for that. Like it's going to create a rift between players and organizations, and it's going to be a war of sorts. So I'm interested to see what happens.
And Yank, at the end of the day, too, it's got us talking. It's got us talking about golf, which we typically don't do that much of. So we may be in a year never talking about PGA again, and it's LIV, everything getting paid the big bucks. Everyone's going to go out golfing to make the LIV. Whatever it may happen, it's an awesome debate. It's crazy. I am siding with the PGA here. I know it's kind of a crazy take, but that is what it is.
Wouldn't say crazy. Just
you could not have the PGA.
Just not necessarily on the side of like on a player's like mentality. Like, I feel like you're siding with the grumpy old men there.
What?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Like, stick to tradition. Like, you don't need all that generational money. And we don't need to change. Like,
XFL gets
I don't know. What I just believe that if golf was like, if Tiger wasn't around, golf wouldn't be all that popular.
Oh, 100%.
But I'm just saying, like, there's ways to make it more exciting in the LIV League. The ways that they're doing it is that. I'm just.
Don't get me wrong. The team aspect is so cool, and more money the merrier. I love seeing the big contracts happening because that's a $1 billion industry. Like, you better pay your players. So, the other leagues, NFL, NBA. But, and I love seeing people get paid. But, I am siding with PGA. Call me a grumpy old man all you want, but it is what it is.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll call you grumpy old man. You ain't old. I mean, you're younger than me, but I'll call you that.
I don't know. I had back problems, hamstring problems this past week. We back and groovy. But yeah. Yank, as you're making your transition there, we are also going to transition. If you have nothing else to say about the golf debate, do you have anything else?
I'm all good, but I did have to transition people. I live with people that love to cook, and it was sizzling out there. I heard great steak. It smelled too good. Like I said, I keep it hot, but God, he was keeping it hot on the grill. Woo! I had to get away. My mouth is watering. I can't be around that right now. And it's sizzling a little loud. I don't need all that. We don't need all that background. So what's up? We in a different room.
Oh, yeah. We're going to transition here. That's an awesome debate. Definitely a table debate you can have at your dinner table later, after you watch this. But as we make this transition, remember, go check out Pinnacle Supplementation. They got all these bundles. Bundle up your life, y'all. Bundles make stuff cheaper for you. I know we all trying to ball on a budget, but Pinnacle is keeping me in shape and all that jazz as well, getting me to reach my pinnacle. But as we make that transition here, the finals, we love it. Basketball still going.
Yo, talk about a finals though. I'm just saying, like, I know you can keep going, but oh my God.
So, and even with the game, I took notes, and even before game 4, Celtics are booming. I am totally okay where we are at right now. We had a chance to go up 3-1. Yank, that hurts. It really does. If I saw a 3-1, every single time Sports Center came up, I would be living large. But 2-2 split, okay. I'm okay with that. That's way better than being down 3-1 or down 3-0, etc. So, I mean, we're going to go all the way back to game 2, the night of the podcast. Game 2, it was the third quarter legendary performance by the Warriors. Actually, I don't think they won because you said game 2, so I really messed up in the beginning. Stat check at the beginning. They actually had the legendary performance. I was thinking we recorded.
Game 2 is when I'm gonna get to it.
Big goof, but it was legendary by the Warriors. 107-88, absolutely blew over the Celtics. They brought the energy defensively. I mean, Draymond was running people over. He was blocking people. He was tackling people, pulling down people's pants. I mean, Draymond has been a complete different energy, but also you love those type of players because that's what you feed off of. I know earlier on in the podcast, season 1, I called Draymond Green a bona fide scrub. And statistically, yes. You say, oh, he's an all-star. Look at his stats. Oh, yeah, I know he gets triple-doubles, 10, 10, and 10. But if you watch how he actually plays, watch how he actually beats a leader, he is elite. All right, I ain't going to go Hall of Fame category, nothing like that. But, I mean, game 2 alone, I'm going to let you kind of chime back in here, is they got punched in the mouth, and they showed who Golden State Warriors were. They're showing the 6 out of 8 years NBA Finals Warriors. They went and showed that game 2, and the Celtics said, okay. And you also have to shout out Jordan Poole's half court after third quarter. Just boom. And then you see Steph Curry like a proud older brother like, good job, buddy. That's just my quick recap about game 2 because I know we'll kind of recap each game.
Yeah, I mean, game 2 was just, to me, it was just it's the lights out third quarter. That's going to stand out to everybody. And I mean, just to cap it off, like you said, with the Jordan Poole half court shot, every single thing was falling for him. It's not, I wouldn't say everyone's going to question the Celtics doing this whole drop coverage thing with Steph Curry. Obviously, I don't understand it really either, but at the same time, they play hard and they play good defense for the most part. They rotate well. But when Golden State's just hitting shots, they're just hitting shots. And I mean, it's game 2. They already lost game 1 at home. You kind of expect them to come out with lightning and lightning quickness, speed, the desperation, play hard. But you're right. Draymond Green, you want to talk about like a moving truck the whole night. He was definitely just kind of bulldozing his way through people, but he brought the energy that was needed. It definitely corralled the guys, got them motivated, got them going, disturbed and perturbed the Celtics for sure. But aside from game 2, I mean, that was the best of Draymond that we've seen this whole series. So we'll get into that as well as we move along when we talk about these other games and recaps. But game 2, it came down for me. It was just another, like it has been for the Celtics many times this playoffs. It's a third quarter game, and you're on a road. You're the road team there. I mean, honestly, it's like we said, it ends up being 2-2 right now. Technically, what happened was supposed to happen.
Yeah, Yank, and that game 2, yeah, it just was the showing of the Warriors. Like, hey,
I will say though, I did say whoever was winning game 2 is winning the series.
I had a big goof.
I believe that. I do. I still believe that. So, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, you do, and that's a really bad take because now we're on pivotal game tonight. But then you come to Boston. Yes, sir. We back, and the Boston's fan brought the energy like no other. Yank, I want to know your opinion on this. Now, the fans were chanting, F you, Draymond. Now, they might have said some other words. We're keeping a little PG here on the podcast. And you know, it's really sad.
Start letting it fly one of these days. Just
Steve Kerr and Clay said, "Oh, way to be classy." Now, isn't this the same Golden State Warriors team and fan base that throw shirts at Charles Barkley during the TNT shows, and Charles has to turn around like, "Hey, knock it off"? That's way to be classy, Warriors. And remember back during the Cavs series when some lady yells, "Beep beep beep, LeBron, beep beep," and some other words. You can fill in those beeps with whatever words you want. But then they asked Klay Thompson how, "Oh, how'd you feel the fans were to the other team?" or some kind of question like that. And Klay goes, "Oh, I guess we hurt somebody's feelings." This is the same guy that just said, "Oh, way to be classy," but now it's happening to them. Crazy how what happens when the tables are turned and Boston is bringing the energy. The fans are totally bought in, and they aren't necessarily hurting their feelings, Hank. They're not. They're not saying anything bad. They're not really critiquing,
they're not saying anything bad. I mean, they are, but am I against it? No, I'm all for it. Like, bring that type of energy. It's a hostile environment. This is what the playoffs is supposed to be about. I don't know if anybody has watched the new movie Hustle, the new Adam Sandler and LeBron movie. Yeah, it's a fantastic movie on Netflix. But if you want to talk about like the mental part of the game and like being able to block out the noise and deal with that as part of being a professional athlete, that kind of comes with the territory. I've always personally believed that. So whether you agree with that or not is one thing, but I mean, bring that crowd, bring that energy. This is Boston. No offense. Is it wrong of them to say that? Should they be saying all that stuff? Can you compare it to other fan bases? Yeah. Should they be saying that? No. But again, this is Boston, and you're also biased because you're a part of that nauseating, gross, angry crowd. That's what Boston fans are. You guys are all that.
Reference to football. When Aaron Rodgers went, "I own you." Now, I hated when he did that. We were talking trash to him, and Aaron Rodgers sadly went and balled out, and he said, "What's up, Chicago? Now you just got to go play better than what the fans are saying that you are." You know they're talking. You know Draymond Green is not saying, "Good job, buddy."
Oh no, that's why I'm saying. And I how many times do we have to say on this podcast? I was a talker too. Like I get it. Like I'm all for all that stuff and all for the yapping and going at each other and having the mental edge as well as the physical edge. You're trying to develop one. So it is what it is. Just you can't say it's not like by a technical moral standpoint. Nobody should ever be screaming that at people across the stand. There's little kids in the stands, but let it fly. Let it fly. No, it's a hostile environment. I'm all for it. It's a playoffs. Do it. Oh, what up, kid?
It was bound to happen. But no, yeah. They're not saying anything bad. They're not saying anything racial. They're not saying anything about their family, about their kids. Like they're saying, you know what?
You're a professional athlete. It's going to happen.
Any competition. I'm playing flag football on Sundays, and we're saying worse stuff. Well, they are. I just sit back, talk to the ref, like, wow, look at these goons just argue.
You just
like,
turn around and wave at people because that's petty. Petty.
But Yank, that's kind of how this game went, though, was the energy took over from the fans, and the big three balled out. And this is the formula for Boston to win moving forward. Jason Tatum, 26, 6 and 9. Jaylen Brown, juice box, 27, 9 and 5. And then Marcus DPOY, 24, 7 and 5. Those are all huge numbers. And if they do that, and granted, those are really hard stats to get as well, but if they do that every single game, there's no way they can lose. If Marcus Smart puts up 20 points a game, there's no way that they lose. So, I mean, they put the winning formula. They showed that they can do it and to get ahead in the series again.
Yeah, game 3 was a big time answer at home for them to go up 2-1. I think that's when everyone was probably, if anyone was picking Golden State or is really truly rooting for them, that's when they were probably the most nervous. I mean, going down 2-1, now you got the pressure on going into game 4, because if you go down 3-1, I'm sorry, ain't everybody the 2016 Cavs. It ain't just gonna happen like that. When the Celtics are making a solid percentage of threes, they're one of the most dangerous teams in the league, just because their defense is typically always going to be there.
their size is, I mean, they're huge if you look at them in comparison to Golden State, just like they were against the Miami Heat. So when they choose to put their head down and attack, like when Jason Tatum chooses to go to the hole rather than try and absorb fouls, he's looks unstoppable at times. However, to me, the best player on the court this entire series for the Celtics, and honestly, maybe even the entire playoffs, has been Jaylen Brown. That man is here to play. But if he comes out, continues to do that, and Jason Tatum just shows some type of consistency, yeah, the Celtics are in a really good spot being tied 2-2. I mean, if they go out tonight and steal one in game 5 going back to the Garden, I mean, you never know. It could be what it is, but they've got a lot of good going for them. And then for them to come out in game 3, just lights out shooting, being able to play both sides of the ball, I mean, it's big time, man. They show what they're capable of. I will say they do not look scared of the Golden State Warriors.
No, not at all. It's all for 18. I mean, that's their thing. It's all for banner 18, and they're playing team basketball, and that's why the Celtics have been successful. You saw your Miami Heat. They couldn't play team basketball. If they had another superstar, like a Jimmy Butler style, they might be in this situation. You know what I'm saying? Bam didn't rise up to the occasion. Hero was hurt. He couldn't rise up to the occasion. Lowry tried in game 6, I think it was. But the Boston Celtics, you don't see Jason Tatum going for 45. Some games it does happen, but the winning formula is when 3 dudes go off for 20 points a game. That's a Brad Stevens put together team. And
hey, Bradley's been doing it, man.
He has, and also great thing is Robert Williams, 4 blocks, getting those boards.
Can you show him more love than this? You never even show facial expression. You don't even get excited for him.
I hated Robert Williams because he was not a scoring center. But watching
if he wasn't on this team, they would be getting blown out.
He is a defensive staple, and that's why they got him. And that's hard for me. You know me, I like getting buckets. I'm not out when I play basketball, I'm all for playing defense. But like
catching oops, man. He's catching oops. He's catching oops.
But he's just not a Joel Embiid, a Jokic, I'm gonna go score in the paint type of guy. So that's the tough thing of why I don't like necessarily Robert Williams, but I'm loving him. I'm sorry for I've said in the past. I know your game. I have adapted your game. I have watched you play. I love it. But I mean, that's all I got for game 3. I mean, it really wasn't too much.
No, it was just more of honestly, every game has just been more about the storyline rather than the game itself. I mean, up until game 4, everything was just about like who is going to get the edge, who is truly the better team, because it was a big question mark. I mean, coming out of the East, the run that the Boston Celtics had to get to the finals, prolific. Then for the Warriors, I mean, it's the sixth time in 8 years that they're in the finals. I mean, that's got to speak for something. So to see the Celtics go up 2-1, be able to have that capability of shooting, it's worrisome for the Warriors. But then we get to game 4.
Yeah, game 4, you know what? This is going to be my shorter and sweet because it was back and forth. I understand Steph Curry had a legendary legacy game. He was lights out, Yang. He was absolutely spectacular. And I hate watching it, but it's also amazing to watch. And you know why we lost? That is not the reason why we lost. Steph Curry's going to get 30 regardless. He makes it from everywhere, Yank. Nobody can guard him. All right? He has changed the game by himself. He is a top 10 player of all time. Was the last 5 minutes, they shot 1 for 8. 7 of those were threes. They were down by 3 at that stretch. Yank, you're only down by 3 with 5 minutes left. You do not need to be setting up 3 after 3 after 3. Go in, get a bucket, do some pick and roll action, do some off-ball screens. You don't need to force threes, and that's exactly what they did. They didn't really shy away from the moment, but they sped up their entire tempo. They changed up their entire game late in that game, and that was the only difference. Now, Steph Curry, I understand he went off for, I think, 43 and 10. Which is the last thing. 10 rebounds for Steph Curry.
He's a rebounding point guard. Don't slack on that now. Don't sleep on that.
I mean, but still, you can't let that happen. You can't let Steph get 10 boards because when Steph gets the board,
not wrong.
Flipping the hips, and it's go time. And if you're not getting to the paint, I'm going to pull up. Oh, if you're going to come to the paint, one of my buddies better be there for a little dish. And that's just my only difference right there in game 4.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this was the only game where I sat there and I could actually point out an individual that it was like truly all about. Steph Curry was absolutely incredible. The shot, the efficiency is what stands out as well. It's one thing for someone to go out and get 43 points and 10 boards as a point guard in a playoff game, but when you do it on 14 to 26 shooting, you make 7 threes. I mean, shooting 50%. I mean, the man is averaging 34 points per game in these finals on 50% shooting, 40% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line, or 85 or something like that from the free throw line. He's actually struggling from the free throw line these playoffs, and he's still in the high 80s or something like that. So he's been incredible, and that was the pure, like you said, it was a legacy game to where he really did put the team on his back because it was a close game. The rest of the Warriors really didn't do anything crazy to help him. The Draymond Green, I don't know where he is at on the offensive end. I know that you love to bring that up, but that man is averaging 4.5 points per game. He has more turnovers than points in this series. He has 18 turnovers compared to 17 points. Draymond Green, where are you on the offensive end? You are a Hall of Famer, Draymond Green. You better show up. Show up in game 5 if you think that they're going to win, even if it is at home. He's got to show up. He's got to be his playmaker role, yes, is more so of what he lives to be, a walking screener, pick and roll, all that stuff. But you got to be kidding me as far as a scoring threat and all these turnovers and fouls and just the crazy behavior. He's been too crazy this finals.
Yeah, he has been nowhere this finals. I mean, I get excited when he shoots threes, and I know I'm going to be biting my tongue later when he makes if he makes a 3 in game 5. But like, I get excited. Yes, Draymond shot it. Like, go get the rebound. So that's sad to say. Like, they sag off like it's Ben Simmons. I mean, this is what Ben Simmons probably looked up to. You know, he modeled his game after Draymond Green, get boards, play stellar defense, get assists. But I mean, he got benched. I know that was kind of hard to take, but Draymond's going to take that well. He's going to be like, yeah, whatever. Like, coach did what was right. I wasn't playing well. And you're so right. Like, if the Warriors really want to take it to the next level, Draymond has to be an offensive weapon. And that's not going to happen because Robert Williams and Al Horford has that on locked up. So I don't see him making any huge difference. And we just have to contain Steph Curry. And Marcus Smart got to score 20, and that's how we're going to win the pivotal game 5.
Yeah, I think game 5 is it's going to come down to the role players for Golden State. Steph Curry might go out and drop 35, 40, but I just don't think he's going to be able to do it by himself back-to-back games. I think the Celtics are going to come out hot because they know they can't really afford to go down 3-2 either. They might go back and win in Boston, but you don't want to really have to play game 7 in Oracle and all that. I mean,
in Chase Center they moved.
Yeah, well, Chase Center now, but you know what I mean.
Yank, and there's no better story. Yeah, we dropped one. Really wish we could have went up 3-1. But now you win tonight. You go back home. You can get the confetti. You can celebrate. You can go home to your family and friends and celebrate that night.
That leprechaun is menacing, man. Ain't nobody want to go home.
That city is going to be insane. I mean, it's every person's dream to win the NBA Finals on your own court. That's why people don't like winning, sweep it. If you're the 1 seed, you know what I'm saying? Like, you sweep, snap, we don't get to celebrate. We got to celebrate on this other team's court. But, I mean, the Celtics still have a chance to win an NBA championship back on their floor, back in the TD Garden. Yeah. Will it happen? You betcha. Season 6.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, I am excited as hell, though. I mean, game 5 is going to be crazy. I feel like it's just been so chippy back and forth. I'm very excited. We're what? 15 minutes from tip-off, maybe?
Yeah, if that. I know probably national anthem going on now.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. But do you have any hot takes for the rest of this series? Because like I said it was winning game 2, was winning this series. I got the Warriors, which means I think they're taking game 5 tonight. I think it's going to come down to the role players. If Draymond Green scores 10 points, if Klay Thompson shows up in a big way, maybe not even in the first, maybe not even just in the second half. He shows up in the first half. Steph don't do his thing, so
I'll tell you. I already told you earlier. If Marcus Smart scores 20 points and we keep Steph Curry around under 30, we win the ball game. Easy as that. That's like the simplest way I can put it.
I wouldn't argue it.
But
I would not argue it.
if you're a betting man, 3 years ago today,
I am.
Klay Thompson tore his ACL and came back, shot free throws in the Raptors series. I saw it all over SportsCenter today. I just got this little thing inside of me that means Klay Thompson's going to go off in his 3-year anniversary of his career, his season ending.
Is it 3 years to the day?
3 years to the day. That's scary. And
that's not good. That's not good.
So if you're a bet man, you go there. That's the only thing that I'm kind of scared of. Is if
this
Klay
is movie material sounding.
I know.
Oh no, not the side.
Could be writing,
not
but
the side.
Marcus Smart just has to go do his job. Robert Williams has to go be a menace in the paint. He's got to stay healthy. He's still questionable tonight. I don't know if he's starting in the game's about to start.
He better be. He better be. It's the finals.
Left foot, man. He's trying. He's hobbling up there. But if he plays,
get in that cane. Get in that icy hot. I know Shaq on the TNT crew. He probably got some over there. Come on.
Yeah, but that's my last kind of final things before Game 5. It's pivotal. It's huge for a reason, and we're 2 wins away from banner 18.
All right. I like it. I mean, like I said, if they do pull it off, we're gonna have a talk about this finals run. That's for sure.
The hardest route to a championship in NBA history. ESPN 30 for 30. What if I told you?
All right, since he got the cool ass narration, I'll let it slide. So if you're talking sports, it's the matchup. Mickey here with Zizzy, yeah, we cutting it up. Just a couple athletic enthusiasts. You know what it is, the Mickey Zizzy podcast. Have a great night, everybody. Let's watch this game. Peace.